in terms of the electoral environment itself. And we have decided that we're going to be helped to discuss these issues by none other than Bishop Anselmo Magaya, and he is the director of the Zimbabwe Divine Destiny. We are going to talk about other portfolios that he holds as we progress with this interview. Bishop, I want to welcome you to Sly Media TV. I want to welcome you to the program.
Thank you. Perfect. Hello, viewers.
We know, Bishop, that you are a commentator, social commentator, political commentator, economic commentator, and we want to tap into your knowledge to say that as the country is going close to 2023, where we're going to be having our general elections, let's have from you what will be your picture or the painting of the electoral environment in this country.
Right. The electoral environment that we do envisage is not where we are. In fact, where we are now reminisces where we were in 1979, when there was this internal settlement between the then Prime Minister of Rhodesia and some of the political parties, like your one that was led by Chief Chirau then, and one that was led by the late Bishop Abraham Zoriwa of UANC, and I'm sure a few other political parties. Now, the main political parties that were being led by our liberation fronters, our nationalists, like the late Vice President Joshua Nkomo and the late President Mugabe, the Zanla forces and the Zebra forces. These guys were not part of the elections that took place in 1979. Why? Because the environment was not right for the elections. So they did boycott. Right. So where we want to get to, what we envisage, is a situation where all political players have, equal access to masses of Zimbabwe. Right? We don't want a situation where some people are blocked from accessing their people. We don't want a situation where certain rallies are banned, and when a political party has advantage of others. We are talking of free access to media, and in particular the public media. And we are also talking about the credible officers within ZEC. You need to be able to manage perceptions. So this is where we are not as yet. In other words, already if the elections were to happen today, these elections are rigged for the ruling ZANU-PF.
How is that? How is that?
Look at it this way. Let me give a very clear example. When Advocate Nelson Chamisa launched the CCC, I think sometime in January, did you see that being presented or reflected on the ZTV? It wasn't, and even the rallies. Each time when they talk, when they show that, when they fly that, you will discover that it is actually to demean and also to make parody or make mockery of that. A lot of his rallies, they are not reported in good picture. And yet, for the ruling ZANU-PF, it's in its abundance. Yeah. So already the media, as it relates to the public media, is siding for the ruling ZANU-PF. But also, very well, a number of meetings that they were banned or blocked. Right now, everything that is happening with the ruling ZANU-PF, including Amai Auxilia, it's abundantly shown on our national television. Yeah, so already they are miles ahead in terms of having access to the public media. So the elections already are rigged.
And people will be interested to have an understanding of how you are arriving at the conclusion that the elections are already rigged.
Well, I've already said that. We've talked about the fact that the opposition does not get, media attention. You know, there is no coverage. You know, there is no. If they do, it is as though they are actually spokespersons of the ruling ZANU-PF. I mean, we don't need a scientist really to take note of that. That is exactly what has been happening. But also violence that has been happening in this country, where you have people being abducted. You know, you have actually opposition members. You know, some of them really. Being arrested and not getting bail, etc. Likelihood of a fully fledged violence is very, very high. So we arrive at that conclusion by reason of the aforesaid. Yeah.
And you say that violence is highly likely as we are going into 2023. What do we need to do as a country to, because it is not just 2023, the elections that we have had previously, we see that every time that we have an election, there is a surge in terms of violence.
Yeah.
What do we need to do as a country to make sure that there is tolerance?
Lovely. Yeah, so I think we have different sectors within this nation. For example, I think to the masses of Zimbabwe, we need to understand that you do not have any reason to kill for anybody. Don't kill for Chamisa, don't kill for Mnangagwa. You need to understand that before we are members of a given political party, we are all Zimbabweans. So I think there's got to be a measure of tolerance, because after all, guilty will persist in your life, and as opposed necessarily to the person that would have actually sent you to do violence, right? So this is what we would really encourage the masses to understand, that we relate to each other in our communities, we relate to each other in our neighborhood, and let's continue to love one another as we share, food and what have you. But also specifically to opinion shapers like our church leaders. I think because we have church leaders that command a following. We have people that we meet every Sunday, every Saturday or Friday, whichever day you go to church. I think it is very important that church leaders are very clear regarding what we need to do. In other words, we need to preach the message of peace, because we meet these millions of people every Sunday, right? So that way, when people hear their pastor talk about it, they will begin to appreciate that there is need for peace. But also to our police, please. I need to say this. Yeah. I'm telling you that our police, these guys are very efficient. As long as there is no interference from the politicians. So we are saying to the politicians, off your dirty hands from our otherwise efficient police. You remember when the other time there was a young lady, a girl that was run over by a vehicle, I think at Girls High there. Within a week's time, they caught up with the perpetrator somewhere in Polokwane. This is the record of our police. The other time, I think there was a shootout in Chivu. Within 24 hours, the rogue elements were caught. This is how our police, if you were to actually report your case today, right, as long as that issue is not political, I can assure you they will catch up. I went there the other time and I needed their assistance, because actually one of them had unreasonably bashed my vehicle, and they were so sympathetic and they were so good. And they were ready to deal with that person. And actually remember saying to them, guys, I'm going to talk well about you when I go out there. You see. So I'm saying to the politicians, your hands off, please. But I'm also saying to the police, rise up above myopia, above the parochial way of viewing your responsibilities. You need to be able to be advanced and to behave the way we see happening in other countries, where you can actually arrest your senior if they become untoward. So this is what I would actually say to the police: please arrest Mashanyika. Arrest Mashanyika, period. Don't talk to us about this whole nonsense, no investigation, etc. When you quickly catch up with any member of the opposition whom you would have deemed to have used inflammatory language, like they've arrested the Job Scala, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how about Mashanyika literally said, pass Nachamisa, and when I say pass Nachamisa, I mean he should die. And then he goes further to drag the image of the police into disrepute by actually saying that I'm unarrestable. He says that. You heard him, Machongani. He says, I'm unarrestable. I'm too ZANU-PF to be arrested. So we are saying, please go pick up that man. I wanted to say gentleman and realize that he's not a gentleman. Right.
All right. You talk about critical issues. Right. That deal with the question of how strong our institutions are in terms of good governance, in terms of making sure that human rights are upheld. When you look at that environment with regards to our institutions, do you think that all the ills that we see are because our institutions are captured, our institutions are not strong enough? What would you say?
Our institutions are not strong enough. Our judiciary service, the judiciary is heavily compromised, yeah? And that is the reason why you have this young man who bashed his girlfriend. What's his name, man? I can't remember. Tafadzwa. Yeah, he bashed the girlfriend. He got arrested and he got bail, right? And Job Scala, Godfrey Stolle, they haven't bashed anybody. They are simply demanding justice, and they are denied bail. And then when this guy is released on bail, he kills his girlfriend. This is a parody. This is a mockery, of our justice system. This is an indictment. Now, can you imagine, perfect, if just give an example of the American system. Yeah. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had been the president in Africa, what could have happened in 2020, January 6th, if my memory serves me right? When they went to Capitol Hill and then they really wanted to cause disorder. Right now they are actually pursuing him, legally. So I tell you, if Donald Trump would have been an African president, regardless of the fact that the election outcome was speaking otherwise, that guy would have remained in power, just like how Mugabe held on to power in 2008. But because the American system, their institutions are strong. Now, I'm not saying that Americans are perfect in every regard. But I can assure you that the guy that killed George Floyd, that guy has already been sentenced. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. But the one that killed Levison Mue, I don't even know whether you know him, around the very same time of the Black Lives Matter, that guy who killed Levison is free, he's not arrested. Now the people that killed our citizens on the 1st of August, right, 2018, these guys are roaming freely. And then this other guy, is the Minister of Home Affairs, stupidly gave a notice that those people that killed will be arrested next year. That's hogwash. You give a notice that somebody will be arrested next year, and you think they will be in the country. You see what I'm talking about? Yeah. So we have very weak, pathetic situation with regards to our institutions. ZEC, yeah, I don't have kind of...
Let's talk about ZEC.
You see, ZEC...
I say this because listening to the discourse in the country from other political parties, they are really saying that ZEC is not fit for the job come 2023.
In fact, it would be suicidal for any political party to get into these elections with the current ZEC. You know, look here. I don't have physical sight.
Yeah.
But as those guys, even that makeup of 2018, as they were announcing those elections, those guys were in the elections results, those guys were not confident. They were not confident of what they were saying. Now, this particular team that has been recently appointed as well, the kith and kings, the relatives, cousins, children, your mohadis, they are there, And do you think these guys can certainly objectively announce a result that reflect otherwise in the event that President Mnangagwa? Now, guys, let's face it. I don't want us as Zimbabweans, and even in particular with the church, where we continue to be afraid to speak the truth simply because we'll then be deemed as though we are opposition. The problem that we have in Zimbabwe, perfect, is a very extreme problem. And, people say we need a middle of the road approach, but we don't have a middle of the road problem. Our problem is extremely, hogwash. It's extremely pathetic. So we need to just hit it like that. The current ZEC is not right. And in the very same way that ZAP and ZANU rejected to be part of the elections that took place in 1979, this is, unless there is change, this is what should happen. People should demand reforms. If not, then I'm not too sure whether it would not be suicidal. Now, ZAP and ZANU could not, they did not contest in 1979. And you know very well that Bishop Ebo Mzarewa did not last in terms of his government. I'm telling you, these guys will not last.
Let's still speak about the issue of ZEC, where we are locating the problem with the personnel, to say this is where the problem is. How, as a commentator yourself, do you think we need to constitute ZEC, and who should constitute ZEC?
ZEC, we should be able to make sure that fairness and justice happens, but not only that, but also to be seen to be doing so. So I'm addressing here issues of public perceptions that have to be managed. Now, even though these guys were, if they would actually pledge to be just, I think, we need to make sure that we manage public perceptions. So the people that should constitute ZEC are people that are known to be credible, acceptable to all parties that are contesting, and people that we can actually testify to. We have a lot of these people, technocrats, that are known to be very, very objective, not relatives of any member of the political leaders that are contesting. You can't tell me that we don't have people in Zimbabwe who have nothing to do in terms of their relationship with the contestants, that can actually be appointed to constitute ZEC. And this is exactly what should happen, right? So not these, Roswitas and these other, Mohades, Mangwanas that are there. Even if they would pledge to be just, I think let's manage public perceptions.
And the other thing that people have been talking about is that they feel the process that then leads to these people being appointed must be dealt with if we are going to have people and manage public perception, as you say. Do you think that is a correct analogy?
Yeah, come again. You're talking about correct analogy.
Yes.
Where we are saying
the process that then leads to these people becoming or holding positions at ZEC is the one that's fault.
Oh yeah. Certainly yes. I think so, because I think what really needs to happen in the first place is identification. You know, there has got to be outright rejection on the part of anybody that expresses interest. Anybody who has got a surname that or a relationship with anybody, that they should fail at that level, even before we go to public whatever interviews. And then anybody then that passes to the stage where they get to public interview, then these have to be people that are known, really. So that selection process is very, very critical. And then of course anybody that would then fail. You know, I understand there was somebody who was asked regarding the constitution of Zimbabwe, and that person could not quite tell succinctly, you know, and then still that person found their way. You see what I'm talking about? So there has got to be that monitoring where the president is not given too much power to say, because we give you, he appoints 9 out of 12, etc. I think in the first place, we also have a very flawed leadership right from the top, and I think there's got to be a way in which we should have monitoring mechanisms to really ensure objectivity.
And again, you touched on the issue of 2023 elections, and saying that with the current ZEC, it will be...
And the environment.
Yes, and the environment. It will be folly for people to, or any political party to participate. What would you say to political parties that are already preparing for 2023 with the current environment?
So what I'm saying is, fine, people can certainly prepare. But I also am saying that in the very same way that they're preparing, I believe very strongly, my brother, that if Zimbabweans speak, and I mean if they speak, these people will bow down. I want to pose a question. At which point will Zimbabweans exhibit and show the power that is reposed in them? At which point will we say we will never leave ZEC offices till that ZEC is disbanded, that the current constitution of ZEC? Unless reforms ABC happen, unless we begin to see objective media, we will do ABC. Everything that is constitutionally provided for, we can actually do that. We have the right to do so. This is not a season to hold on to guns. Mugabe's of your days, Joshua Nkomo's, your Mnangagwa's of your days, they held guns and they fought, etc. And they then would say, unless these things do happen, we will not put our guns down. So this is not the time to do the guns. But we are saying there are certain things that we can be able to apply pressure, right, till it happens. Right? You remember the late Dr. Martin Luther King. The bus boycott. Non-violent, relentless, persistent resistance. This can happen. The police will turn their backs when millions of people express that we want reforms, through whichever ways they demonstrate or make such a demand, as long as it is constitutionally provided for. You understand what I'm talking about? You know what happened in the land of the Filipino in 1986, right? The military was ready to shoot, but the church, then I think it was the nuns within the Catholic Church, and thanks be to the Catholics, they went in their numbers, stood between the masses and the military, knelt down and say, shoot us first. Guys, I'm saying, don't allow people, don't allow the rogue elements within our system to to shortchange us, to run an open check with people's lives. I'm saying to the politicians, get ready for elections, but make clearest demands regarding reforms.
And it sounds like as much as the Constitution does provide for people to demonstrate, people to protest on the streets, we have seen the August 1 situation, and people are afraid that the same situation may arise or recur if they do so. What kind of security and safety do people have?
There's no safety and security. I don't want to idealize that, because there's no safety. We are dealing with murderous people. We are dealing with rogue elements. We are dealing with blood vampires. We are dealing with people that seem to flourish on the basis of how much blood they've actually shed. But I'm actually saying also that there are innovative ways at times that we can demonstrate, at times without necessarily getting to the streets. This is now up to the people. You know, people are wise enough to get coordinated. You know, we can boycott, you know, other, avenues, services. This is up to the people. I wouldn't preempt anything here, but I'm saying if people sit down, they can be able to say we demand electoral reforms. But also I believe that whilst people were murdered and killed on the 1st of August, etc., I also think that there will also come a time when even some of those people may also get tired of killing. My prayer right now in the name of Jesus is that their conscience gets troubled so that they leave people alone to express their God-given rights. Now, let's not accept this whole nonsense and pretext that, when people demonstrate, they will do this and that, etc. This is the same pretext that Ian Smith would give in order to cause repressions. Now, I'm sure you know that Law and Order Maintenance Act was there during the Federation time and during the Smith's time. So that is the grandfather. And then you have your Public Order Security Act, which is the son, and then the Maintenance Order Public, which is the grandson. So it is the same script. These people have not departed from the racist, repressive regime that we noted during the days of Smith. So we are saying no to that.
Now let's look at the role that the church plays in all this. To say, like you rightly said earlier, that normally what happens when you make commentary about politics and you are a man of the cloth, you are quickly painted with a brush that you belong to a particular political party.
Exactly.
Where do we locate the role of the church, and what should be the role of the church?
The role of the church, my brother, is exactly defined in the Word of God. We need to be able to understand this from a standpoint of scriptures. The Bible is replete with the evidence where the prophets of the day would hold kings of those days accountable. Moses and Aaron held Pharaoh accountable. And the accountability, the form of accountability that Moses and Aaron had on Pharaoh is what I would call, what one scholar calls the contingent theory of accountability, which speaks to a mix of forms of accountability. On the one hand, trust-based accountability, where because you trust me, I give an account every month of how I will have done my work. And then on the other hand, we have what we call sanctions-based accountability, where because you're not too sure about myself, then you inflict sanctions to say, unless you do this, unless you do this, then we are not going to allow you further privileges. So Moses inflicted plagues on Pharaoh, right? Samuel, held Saul accountable. Nathan held David accountable when he committed adultery with his lieutenant's wife. So the role of the church is to call leaders to order. Okay? When Mashanyika says what he says and is not arrested, then they should go to State House and say, please, everything falls and rises around the leader. If your police they're not arresting Mashanyika, then it is falling and rising around you. Mr. President, sir, hold them accountable. Number two, the role of the church is also to advocate for the restoration of purity in our nation. We don't want a situation where political leaders commit sexual orgies of a debauchery nature. Right? We want order. You know very well what happened to the Mohad, those phone calls. It's pathetic. Right. So, and recently there are some other things that are also circulating. You see, we are saying we don't want leaders who commit who are bent on sexual orgies. Right. So we need to call them to order, to say, if you cannot manage your body, you don't know when to open your zip. No, your zip is open for two things. Number one, for your wife, but also for wee-wee. You do wee-wee, open your zip. You want to sleep with your wife, you open your zip, but not any other reason, not for any other women. Okay, so we want restoration of that, and the church should be very clear about that. But then number three, among many, which is the last one, number three, the church should be able to help the citizenry on how to vote. Yeah, because we want godly leadership. We should be able to say to the citizenry, when you vote, you don't just vote because this person belongs to your political party, whether CCC or MTC or ZANU-PF. You vote because the person is competent. You vote because the person is transparent and not corrupt. You vote. You don't vote for violence. Don't vote for murder. Vote for peace. Vote for constitutionalism, adherence to the constitution, not mutilation of the same. So this is what the church should be preaching, right? So that people, when they get to elections, they vote with their mind applied to the matter.
Is it wrong for the church to say to citizens and to the electorate, vote for so and so, or vote for a particular political party?
This is the way I would put it. They may come that time, I can assure you. In terms of that being wrong, there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. I think there will come a time with time, and we've heard that happening in some countries. Even I think even in America, there's one particular church movement that actually facilitated the coming to power of one leader. I think in Ghana as well, church was critical at some point. I can't remember which elections. You see what I'm talking about? Even Zambia at some point. With the emergence, I think of Frederick Chiluba at some, so it's possible that might happen with time, especially if we continue to notice blatant violations. Listen, you don't have to be an opposition member for you to see this blatant violation. But some of you are already saying, why do you speak so? No. I don't have to love Nelson, by the way, for me to see these things. And you don't have to do the same. You just have to be observant. Right. However, for this time, what we are simply saying, we will say to the people, I don't want to insult people's intelligence because they know. So we are saying, don't vote for violence. Don't vote for murder. Anybody that has committed murder, instigated, masterminded, authorized murder and actioned murder, that person cannot be voted for. Right.
Okay, now we want to talk about I want us to reflect on one of the comments that you make on your Twitter page, where you say, I warn that the massive tree under which some people find shelter has rot from the roots, and great will be the fall thereof, even to the point of crushing those enjoying its shade. Relocate, find safety and security in the Lord.
Exactly.
Let's reflect on that. What are you talking about here?
What I'm talking about is that seasons come and seasons go.
Yeah.
And I'm actually saying this prompted within me by the Holy Spirit as I speak, right? I'm saying that, those people, even within the public sector that have been corrupt, they've not been there forever, right? We've had people that have violated and that have actually abused their positions, where resultantly they then get investigated after they have left.
Yeah.
There are people that are doing certain things because they are enjoying certain benefits right now. I am warning on the basis of the Holy Spirit, on the basis of the authority of God invested in me, that the massive tree has rotten, has actually gotten rotten. And this might be in your own limited space. What you are enjoying currently, you will not continue to enjoy. There's going to be a massive crumbling and collapse of the tree to the extent of you getting crushed. I'm saying relocate. Find your safety and security in the Lord. Now, why do I speak like this in a nation where people are being murdered? I have my confidence, my security and safety in the Lord. Why is my message the same? I don't change message, because wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter who is in power. Now, there are people. Now, I warned in 2016, I think that was on the 28th of June, when we were doing the belated commemoration of the United Nations International Day of Against Torture. I said, guys, those that are in power right now are not safe. I actually cited 3 people who are not in the country right now. I said, because Jonathan Moyo then was very, vocal, he has flip-flopped, and, I said, Jonathan Moyo is not safe. I said, Kasukuwere is not safe. I actually said Chombo is not safe, and then said even the president is not safe. Today I will repeat. The President Mnangagwa is not safe. Chiwenga is not safe. Mohad is not safe. These guys are not safe. And I'm saying that one day you may be trapped by the webs of your own making. I did a letter to President Mnangagwa in 2016 in his capacity as the vice president, of course, but more importantly as the minister of justice. When I was talking to him about who is this lady, Shifra Zamara, who had actually lost her husband by reason of abduction. I was appealing to his conscience in that letter. And I said, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, if you're not going to do something about it, you may at some point, please, find yourself trapped in the web that you helped in knitting. I am saying the same here. I'm appealing to the conscience of the enablers of a wicked system. I can assure you there are people in that system, in our current government, that are level-headed, that are reasonable, that don't want what is happening. And I'm saying, allow your conscience to rise higher and speak. In your corridors, in your secret chambers, tell each other the truth. I am saying that you will not be there forever. Relocate and say, yes, I may be a political party member, but God is my safety and my security. I don't know whether I've answered you, whether I've reflected.
Indeed, we have dealt with that one. Yes, we have spoken about the electoral system or the environment in the country. Now, as we are coming to the close of this program, let's deal with the issue of corruption. It is one topic or area that really has been talked about where we see corruption continues to grow stronger and stronger. It's becoming a cancer, really.
It is.
How are we going to be dealing with this scourge?
I lament. I really lament that. I don't even understand what is happening with our judiciary. I don't know what is happening with our police. I don't know what is happening with the executive on this matter. Please, do you know, when you deal with corruption, you know, there's something that happens in the realm of the spirit.
Yeah.
When you deal with that, things will begin to be ordered, even economically. This I'm assuring you. Look at what is happening in Zambia. Look at what has begun to happen in Tanzania. When Magufuli dealt decisively, when we begin to deal with corruption, I tell you, things will be reordered and confidence will be restored. But look here, I don't know my memory, if my memory serves me right, I haven't really seen or heard many or even fewer high-profile people caught in corruption. We have been prosecuted here.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, we had a few cases, Yomdenges, and at times you don't even know whether it was about being politically incorrect, etc. But you see, we have our mother here, our beloved sister, Priska. Is it Priska Mbumire? You know, where is she right now? Right? And your Obadiah Moyo. He went with his luxurious vehicle to court to get his bail within 24 hours. I can assure you, unless they want to prove me wrong, that guy will not be arrested. But of course, they will want to prove me wrong, which is okay. Praise God. Prove me wrong. Those guys will not be arrested. But I will be very happy if they say, you know, he was just talking about what he doesn't know. You see, he will be arrested. Very good. So I was wrong, you were right. So let's prosecute corruption, please. So we lament the fact that we have heard about high-profile people who are out, and let's deal with this matter. So it's all about everybody. It is our ZAC, right? And Madanda Moyo. Yeah? Yes. It is about the police. It is about judiciary, but it is about us, the whistleblowers. Yes. Yeah. I hear lots of these programs. You know, these programs, and these guys from ZAC. You don't need a lot of these programs on TV. Just act. Act. So this is my point on corruption.
Indeed, that's what Bishop Magaya had to say with regards to corruption, that we need to act and stop talking. He is the founder and the Bishop of Grace Ablaze Ministries, and also the Executive Director of Zimbabwe Divine Destiny. Before we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to talk to us about Zimbabwe Divine Destiny.
Okay, thank you.
The work that you do, and how can people have access to you?
Right, Zimbabwe Divine Destiny is a bona fide church-based Zimbabwean organization which was formed after 2008, after having witnessed the horrendous situation, you know, where people were, you know, persecuted, killed, their homes destroyed. The question that we raised was, where is the church? So Zimbabwe Divine Destiny is a church-based organization that agitates for justice and peace. We believe that genuine peace, or the peace really that is genuine and authentic, can only be attained when justice also happens. So what we do is we agitate for that. We train pastors, right? We train church leaders so that they are able to articulate clearly on matters of justice, right? Yeah. So we are there. We are all over the country. You know, we have our presence in about 8 provinces of this country. Yeah, I think only in Mat North and Mat South we have a lot of our people there, but we don't quite have structures, right? So we are present on tweet, ZDD, at ZDD, at Zim Divine Destiny, but also Facebook, Zimbabwe Divine Destiny. So you can actually follow us there. You can also follow me at Bishop Magaya on Twitter, and then you can also follow me on Facebook, Bishop Anselmo Magaya. Yeah, so you can get myself and get Zimbabwe Divine Destiny there as well. But also you can follow Grace Ablaze Ministries International. This is the church based the church organization that I'm a bishop of.
Thank you. So yes, we have come to the end of the program. Let me say thank you so much for tuning in to Sly Media TV and being with us throughout this discussion, where I had Bishop Anselmo Magaya, and he is, like I said, the director, executive director of Zimbabwe Divine Destiny. He is a founder and bishop of Grace Ablaze Ministries. He is also a commentator, social commentator, political commentator, economic commentator, where we were discussing about the situation in the country as we are heading towards 2023. And those are the issues that we're discussing. You can continue to like our page and follow our pages so that you don't miss the programs that we bring you here. Let me take this opportunity to say thank you so much, Bishop, for your time and the insights that you had for us.
Thank you, perfect. Thank you, viewers. God bless you.
We have come to the end. Have a good day.
Big businesses do not advertise because they are big. They advertise because they want to reach potential new customers. Advertising helps you move your goods off the shelves. Brand visibility engraves your brand in the hearts and minds of your old and new customers. Sly Media TV has a package for everyone, big or small. It's called Everyone Can Stream. Corporate events, weddings, churches or funerals, we stream it all. We take your product and event to over 326,000 followers on Facebook and 96,000 subscribers on YouTube. We cross-post to over 6 pages with a reach of over 1 million followers from as little as $100 per hour. We give you the desired global reach. Call today for a free quotation. 263-772-863-484 or 263-775-964-849 or 263-773-761-800 or email on slymediastreaming@gmail.com. Sly Media TV, building